Welcome. Today we're going to learn Daf Kuf Daled, page 104 of Tora Ohr. This is part of the Hosafos, Maimer Vayechi. And the Maimer we're in the middle of is discussing how Yosef counteracts the spiritual negative impact of Mitzrayim, which represents the neck blocking between the head and the heart. And in particular, the three ministers of Paro, the butler, the executioner, and the baker. So now we're starting 6 lines from the top of Kuf Daled. So besides the exodus from the being stuck in the constraints of the neck, so that the hashba, the flow of energy, which was only in an external way, can now be internalized. So in addition, now through the energy now being directed and in some ways limited to go to be manifest only in specific places and within spheres. So it also becomes a deeper and more Pnimiyus, more internal than even how it was before Paro and his ministers got involved. In other words, that the hashpa, the godly energy, starts off Pnimi, internal, then but because it's such a high level, and it's a makif, so Paro is able to get involved. In other words, the hashpa goes also to negative places. Then when we fix that and direct it to specific spheres, so on one hand, it's going through its symptom, a contraction, but on the other hand, now, number one, it doesn't go out to places where it shouldn't. And number two, it's even more pnimi than how it was from the beginning. Like the pasuk says, Yar Hashem panavelech, Hashem should shine his face to us, which the face represents to be internalized. And the epitome of this was that Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah. So why does this work? Why is it that when the Hashem's energy is directed, then it's even more bepnimius, more internalized? So the reason is that although, as an example, seichel, intellect, which is a specific sphere, it limits the ratzon, desire, which is one of the makifim, one of the sort of surrounding and beyond powers. So yes, the intellect limits ratzon, it limits desire, but there's still an advantage when ratzon is revealed within intellect. But itself, Hashem's desire itself. So in its source, it's hazy. It's not directed anywhere specific. Whereas once it comes into intellect, then it becomes much more specific in what it wants, and because of the why it wants it, that actually helps with the what it wants. And therefore it's more, although it's gone through its symptom, it's gone through a contraction to enter into spheres, like intellect, but it's also more pnimi, it's more internalized. Like for example, and similar with mitzvos, the mitzvos are a revelation of Hashem's desire, but mitzvahs are after that desire has gone through the contraction of intellect, and therefore on one hand the manifestation of desire is less powerful, but on the other hand it's also deeper. It's more pnimius than it would be if in pure ratzon. First of all, there's no energy going off to the wrong place, but even besides that, it's just more pnimius. It's more internalized to the ultimate point of the desire. So the reason that this godly energy has to come down is for two purposes. One is that it blocks from being any acharayim, any externals, and two, that that now it's going to be more pnimiyus than it was originally, and the cause for both of them is the same idea through going into intellect. The rotten can't be misdirected, and also it gets more to the very point of what does he really want. This is similar also if, let's say, someone has something he wants. It's a big project, so you might have, and this happens a lot in government agencies, but even if someone has their own project, they want to build a house, and they have a certain field that they have in mind. But because that field is something a little bit undefined, so how do you get to that field? So they might put a lot of things into the house that are not really necessary. But when it comes into intellect, then you have to really more clearly define what is it that you really want, and therefore it becomes more pnimiyus, and also things that are not the real point will get cut out, and you'll say, wait a sec, this addition is not what I want, and therefore I don't need it. So it helps both to cut out acharayim and to really deeply connect to the what is the actual rotzeh. Okay, next paragraph, Daled. So now back to the pasuk the Mitzvos began with, that Vanina sati l'cha shechem echad al achecha, that Yaakov tells Yosef, I gave you one portion beyond your brothers. The rest of the tribes were they were within the lower worlds of Briya, and their job was to refine the 288 sparks of Torah that after the world of Torah shattered, the light of Torah, there's 288 lights of sparks of Torah which have fallen to our world and are hidden within the cover of physical items. Or with in general with items from Briya, and so that is those sparks are stuck in the acharayim, in the externals of Briya, which is represented by the shoulders, because the Shvotim come from Malchus of Atzilus, which is the lowest level of Atzilus, which descends and to energize the worlds below it. And in general, their way of refinement is in the way of Shem Ban, the name of Hashem, which represents his light as it is within worlds, as opposed to Ma, which is Hashem's light as it is beyond worlds. So because the Shvotim come from that they are souls from within the worlds of Briya, so then how can they refine themselves? But someone who's higher than beyond the Shvotim and beyond worlds can refine the worlds. Yes, the Shvotim are trying too, but they're trying from within, whereas someone from beyond has a whole different experience. Ban is as we explained yesterday, is the name. It's calling Hashem names based on certain qualities, and which those reveal and create those qualities. And Ban is connected to Malchus, which is how Hashem, the sphere where godliness descends to allow for an other. And therefore, because it allows for another, therefore can end up enlivening externals, like a parei. So the Shvotim, the tribes, in order to refine the world, so that's why that we find them in Yosef's streams, that they were ma'almim alumim, they were collecting together the bundles of wheat. So what they're trying to do is bring everything back together to oneness, to transform darkness into good until their very source, which their source is in the world of Torah, where there are 7 kings representing the 7 spheres, the 7 emotional attributes, but each one is just in full intensity without allowing for any of the other spheres, or without allowing to be held in their receptacle, and therefore it ends up shattering. And the Shvotim, the tribes, are trying to refine the world from within, whereas Yosef is from beyond, and therefore he's able to refine in a deeper way, so that the shefa, the flow of divine energy shouldn't go to a place where it's undeserving, and so that it shouldn't need refinement afterwards. Like we said yesterday, that Yosef comes from Yesod, which is higher than Malchus, and Yesod is part of the body itself, whereas Malchus is the recipient outside of the person's own body. So Yesod gives off a more internalized light, so that that Pare shouldn't receive from the beginning. And certainly it can remove and separate out klipot, separate out impurity. And also, like we said, that there's 2 advantages of when Hashem's desire comes into an internalized way. So one is that achirayim, that the externals don't receive, Pare doesn't receive, and also that it's more Pnimiyus, it's more internalized, and that too happens through Yesod, through Yosef. Because Yosef is Hadar, the 8th king, which and Hadar spiritually represents Shema, the Hashem's name, which is beyond the world and therefore can refine the world in an internal way. And that's why Yosef's bundle is the one that stands up. Because since his bringing down a higher godly light, so therefore his stands up, it's higher and refines all the rest of them. The rest of the bundles bow to his bundle, and that's why Yosef is able to make Shechem, the shoulder, into Echad, into one, into the clear revelation of Hashem's God, oneness. The next paragraph for so now we said that in order to destroy Pare, it's through the Cher of Pafiyas, like the Pasuk says in Tehillim Kuf Mem Tes. We say in Pesuk the Zimra that Roy Meskel Begreinam, the Cher of Pafiyas Biyadam, that we praise and lift Hashem in our throats, and with a double-bladed sword in our hands. So, and we've explained that we've got to cut off the 2, with the 2 blades, we cut off the 2 aspects of klippa, the arrogance and the overindulgence, and through that we're able to, and the Romas Kel, we praise Hashem in davening, and then we're able to, and destroy the klippa, and have dveikos of cleave to Hashem. So, to explain this further, the ministers of Pare, the butler, the executioner, and the baker represents the air pipe, the food pipe, and the veins. Now, Yosef was sold into slavery in Egypt because his job was he had to refine Pare and refine Egypt. So he interpreted the dreams for these for the butler and the baker was, as Yosef interpreted, he was hanged, whereas the butler was returned to his post. And then Yosef eventually becomes the ruler of Egypt, and he's able to refine the whole Egypt. And this all allowed for after leaving Egypt, the Jewish people were able to receive the Torah and the Mitzvos. And this is why this is fascinating, that the Alter Rebbe frames what's the whole Sefer Bereishis about, and why do you need Sefer Bereishis, the book of Genesis, before we enter into the book of Shemos. where the Jewish people become a nation and receive the Torah. They have the Exodus from Egypt, and then they receive the Torah. So what's the purpose of Bereishis? So Bereishis is about, according to what the Alter Rebbe says here, about refining Pare, about ensuring that our mind goes straight to the heart without any externals diverting energy. And same thing with godly energy, with spiritual energy, that Hashem's care and light comes down specifically to where it is deserving and where it belongs with Torah mitzvahs. So that's the point of Sefer Bereishis, to get rid of Pare and his ministers, any outward and undeserving flow of energy, and then instead it should just go to the Torah mitzvahs and those who keep Torah mitzvahs. So, to explain this further, so the two swords are the two. We said there's two blades of the sword, so that's the two hays in Hashem's name. The one hay is associated with the chesed, and the other with gevura, one with the kindness, the other with severity, and they represent the positive mitzvahs and the negative mitzvahs. And the positive and negative mitzvahs help to stop the three ministers of Pare from being able to take energy from holiness. So these three ministers of Pare, they each have their counterpart in holiness, which is what blocks them from the negative side, from the taking energy. Well, first of all, the air pipe. So the air pipe connects the mind and the heart, because we see that as soon as a person feels something, thinks something, he straight away feels it in his heart. And that's because there's a link, there's the sinews which connect the mind and the heart, and this is allowed by the air pipe that keeps them in sync. Also, the air pipe allows cool and moisture to move from the mind to the heart, so that the lungs can cool off the heat of the heart, like it describes in medical books. And also the heart and the air pipe, they both are involved in allowing for speech, for sounds. The person to be able to make a noise and speak. That's all through the air pipe, together with the heart. So therefore, the air pipe we see how the air pipe connects the mind and heart. But it's all the connection is in a way of chesed, a way of kindness. Like we see this cooling down of the heart from the mind. So the idea of cooling is connected to chesed, whereas heat is connected to gevura and severity. And similarly, the idea more generally of that what we understand in our minds, creating a feeling in our heart, that's also connected to the air pipe spiritually. And this is the butler, and the butler is one who gives out chesed, kindness, whereas the veins represent gevura, and with the veins, their direction is for the opposite, is primarily from the heart to the mind. That the highest quality blood from the heart is sent by the heart through the veins to the brain to strengthen the brain. And this hot blood is connected to gevura, is connected to severity. Because the heart is full of severity, gevura, and full of flaming fire of yearning for Hashem. So now we have two parts of the brain. We have two types of intellect. We have Chochmah and Bina. Chochmah is the initial idea, and then Bina is the development. So the initial idea is this gift is from above. It comes down. So it's chesed, which is about giving over downward. Whereas Bina, where we go back and look at the idea and dissect it and consider all the details and implications. So that's Gevura, where we look back into ourselves. And Bina also is where a feeling starts to develop from the idea, because Bina's connected to the flaming passion of the heart, and the veins are called the Sarat Abachim, the executioner or the butcher, because that's connected to blood. Then we have the third minister, which the baker, which is represented by the food pipe. And sorry, I said before, the first one, the air pipe is connected, to the butler, yeah, and now the food pipe is connected to the baker. So the food pipe, it goes both ways. One, of course, it brings the food down to the body, but then that food becomes blood and then spreads all around the body, including back up. So the food pipe can be described as both being downward, the brain helping and the face helping the body, and then the body helping the brain, going back up to the brain and the face. And we see this also with what the product of the baker, bread, which bread is connected to Chochmah, because it says that an infant isn't able to call out, say any words. He's not able to say daddy and mommy, Abba, until he eats bread. So the food pipe, it connects both ways. Yeah, like we see the baker who bakes bread. On one hand, bread is connected to Chochmah. On the other hand, he bakes it in a fire, which is Gevura. So that means he's using both sides. The bread is like on the right, Chochmah and Chesed, and then the fire is on the left, Gevura and Bina. And so this is all the ministers in a positive way. And we can understand this from considering our over the page to the second side of Daf Kuf Daled. So for us, what does this mean in Aveda? So when we understand Torah and we think deeply into Torah, then that is called koneh, and the air pipe, and that's also like the expression knei chachma to kwai chachma, which is the same spelling as koneh, the air pipe, and so it brings the intellect, the mind to the heart. And similarly, when we daven with feelings, so we first reflect, we have certain ideas about Hashem and our relationship with Hashem, that and then bring them to our heart, that they should create a passion and a yearning desire for Hashem. So that's also koneh, the air pipe, which links the mind and heart. And then when we speak, our voice in Torah and in Tefillah and in Torah study and in prayer, so our voice and our words, that is the baker, like it says that chita, which means wheat, is the same is the numerical value of 22. There are 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. So that's the baker is connected to words said with passion. And then the veshet, the executioner or the butcher. So we've together with both the executioner and the butler are one way. In other words, the butler is going down and the executioner is going up, and then the baker is going both ways. So so the passion, the passion comes from the veins, executioner, the blood, and then the sound, the ideas come from the kind of the air pipe going down to the heart, and then the sound and the words, they're the baker, which includes both of them. So this passion and passionate words strengthens the intellect, meaning that through the executioner or butchers, which is the veins, that strengthens the mind. So in holiness, the Sarmashkim, the butler, is Torah. And Torah then comes down to guide us with the 248 positive mitzvos, like water that goes down from its high place, like a water at the top of the mountain, and then it flows downwards. So similarly, Torah flows down to us. Whereas the vridim, the veins, they're the negatives, and like we said, that fire and passion is on the side of Gevurah, and that's the 365 negative precepts that stop the godly energy from going to the wrong place through doing an avera, so that would disturb the proper flow of godly energy. And then the baker is the words of Chochmah, and so these three ministers, they, in short, the butler represents Hashem's light descending downward, the butcher or executioner upward, and the baker is both ways in the intermediary between the two. Next paragraph, Zeh Romus. So now back to the pasuk Romus Kol B'Greinam, that we praise and we lift Hashem in our throats. So like we said, the throats have these three parts, and we use them in the holy way, the air pipe, the food pipe, and the veins. And thereby ensure that Hashem's light is only brought down in a pnimiyus way, in an internalized way. In Kabbalah, this relates to two of the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim, two of the 13 attributes of mercy, which are Neitzer and Venake, and that's beyond the scope of today, the details there, but they are what Yosef uses in order to safeguard the flow of godly energy, that it shouldn't extend out to the wrong places, and that it should be even more internalized than how it was originally. And Yosef, who is Yesod, as we said, is successful in that, and he has this double sword in order to get rid of the three ministers of Paro, which is like we said, the two hays of Hashem's name, the hay of Chesed and hay of Gevurah. That Gevurah is what counteracts arrogance, and that's the 365 lois that block from expanding oneself where it's inappropriate. And that's the job of the butcher or the executioner, which is just to go up to Hashem and not to let anything and nowhere foreign. Whereas the lower hay, it represents the mitzvahs asay, that which blocks off the overindulgence, because instead our excitement is towards these mitzvahs, these positive mitzvahs, instead of towards passion and in pleasures of this world. And this is accomplished by Yosef, and then also in future generations. So we have the ability through Torah mitzvahs, both staying away from negative and doing the positive, that not to be drawn after what is wrong, which is the butler, and to stay away from so the Tivus pleasures is the butler, and then instead our pleasure should be towards Hashem, and not to do what's wrong, which is connected to arrogance. I could do what I want, so that's the loisase. And Yaakov says that he conquered this extra portion from the Emori, the Charbi, with his sword. So Emori is the baker, is this passionate speech within Klippa, and or in general, it's letters and words, which we can have letters and words in speech and letters and words in thought, because the sparks of Tohu are found in words, because words are kalim, are the receptacles, and inside the words is the meaning, which is the Ohr, the light. And only the receptacles of Tohu, the vessels of Tohu broke, not the light. Therefore, the sparks of Tohu can be found in words. And it's like, for example, if you have a sentence that has a meaning, and then you scatter the letters, and then there's no longer a meaning. So that's like similar to Olam HaTorah, that it has great meaning in it, but it's scattered, and therefore right now it's the meaning is the meaning and the idea behind the letters is totally hidden. So we have to fix up the Emori, which is Emori means to speak, so it represents words. And like we quoted the pasuk earlier, that Rabbi's machashavos, there are a lot of thoughts, and we have to bring them all to one, and that they should be used for Torah, and that will that's how Hashem's plan annuls the thoughts of the many nations, because then it's brought just all related to Hashem and Torah. And this is Shema, which we said that Yosef is connected to Shema, which refines from above. And this is when we work out the halacha on our minds, and then paskin, we give a verdict of what the halacha is in our speech, and that refines the Emori. Final paragraph. Now, Yaakov conquered the Emori, transformed the Emori, Becharbi of Akashi, which Onkelos translates as with my prayer and my supplication, my requests. So the idea of a sword we already explained, and then the idea of which is the prayer, and then the supplication is Bekashti is also related to Keshes, like how Rashi translates Bekashti with my bow. And like Zohar explains, that there are different types of weapons, and the advantage of the keshes, the bow and arrow, is that it can kill someone further away, because the sword or the spear can only be used to fight someone who's right next to you, hand-to-hand combat. But someone further away can only be reached through a bow and arrow. And like the pasuk says, in a similar vein, that when the Yidden were going to go into Eretz Yisrael, Hashem says, I will send the hornet before you so that it can destroy also the ones who are hidden. That even those hidden will be destroyed, because Hashem, your God, is in your midst. Kel God of a great and awesome God. So the hornet can shoot its poison and therefore and kill people from a distance. And then the pasuk continues, because Hashem is a great and awesome God. So what's the meaning of this reasoning? Because Hashem is a great and awesome God. So explanation is that there's two types of klippa. There's two types of concealment of godliness. One which a person clearly senses and recognizes. The other which is very subtle and a person doesn't recognize it. It's just makif. It sort of hovers over the person. And this type of bad which is felt, so then it will help before the noticeable bad. So then our regular avodah helps, our davening and our learning Torah. But what about for the subtle bad? So how do we get rid of that when we don't even notice it? So the idea is that you have to, just like with the bow, you have to pull back in order for it to shoot forward. So too, we have to, so in order to get rid of the subtle bad, so that's through pulling back into ourselves, which is about humility, self-nullification. In order to notice even small details, we need even greater lights. And or like the muscle that in order that when we throw something against the wall, so then it bounces back. That's similar to pulling back the bow in order to in order to shoot forward. So in order to find the concealed makifim, the concealed sort of hovering klippa impurity, which is very refined, very subtle. So we need this great light. And that's why it's because Hashem is a great God. That's why the subtle bad, the hidden bad can be destroyed. Like the pasuk says, we can destroy the hidden ones because kel God of Anera. And we get this ability from, like we said, pulling back, which is about feeling low and bitter and small. And in order to arouse mercy on us, it's through our us humbly beseeching. And this is the idea of Bakashti, that with my supplication, that's how we have the other meaning of that word with my bow, and that's how we conquer their Meiri, which a sword wouldn't, which is regular avodah wouldn't be able to do. Because that feeling low is greater than avodah, our regular avodah of Torah and tefillah, because and that has the bounce back effect of through pulling back into ourselves, we can extend and we can achieve further. Okay, so that concludes the Maimer, and that's our two avodas of both of Torah and tefillah, which includes both bringing the ideas from mind to heart and then the words. And then the deep avodah, which is the bow of working on our humility and feeling small and bitter, and through about our spiritual state, and through that being able to turn over their memory, that our speech and our passionate speech should be towards Hashem and holy purposes.